This is really what we're always thinking about is how do we scale up? I don't think we're looking at scaling up necessarily at changing the industry. That's a whole different scale. But yeah, to go from $1,000 in sales a month to $20,000 of sales a month, you can actually use very much the same system. Our systems haven't changed very much, and we could grow even a bit more using the systems we have now. Yeah. Any folks over here?
When hearing about your testing method, but I listened to a podcast. I did it, so I haven't primer, but that was definitely an item here for how much detail went into that testing for density. Any natural shifts in the process. Specifics.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more about seeding density actually a little bit later. I'll just show a little graph and the sort of information I got out of that as well. Yeah, I have this experiment in mind which is, I just don't have the time or money for, but growing different densities of crops at different temperatures and creating all these relationships. Because as the temperature gets warmer, we often lower our seeding density to increase airflow. And there's probably some good sort of formulas we could get with different crops at different temperatures and get a sense of where your seeding density should be at.
But did you do experiments on how many weight was stored?
Yeah, so what I've noticed is I could put a house on top of sunflower shoots and they'll still push the things up. So we'll talk about that when we get into stacking. Yeah, if I laid out 6 feet worth of trays and put stuff over top of them and slept on them for 3 days, it would lift me up. It's incredible the power that plants have. And you see this all the time. Tree roots getting into the cracks of rocks, and just cell by cell they grow and they break those rocks up. They lift sidewalks, they destroy roads. But yeah, it's amazing what they can do. So you'll see in some of the pictures, actually, it talks to just that. And I'll talk about our process, about what we do and what we've learned and some of the variability there too. Yeah.
I'm really excited about this. It's right up my alley as far as being obsessively ridiculous about this stuff. And anyway, good just like that could become elusive.
Yeah, there's worse things to become obsessed with. So keep that in your back pocket. Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts from you guys? Or
how much has your system evolved and grown since you first started year 1? So now you're in year 10. I think they had 10 grand the first time. So now you've literally got this 4,000 square foot area where you're doing everything. First, before you had those 2x4 frames up at that got the separate channel for where you do on cable. That works everything like that.
Yeah, so there's been some stuff is the exact same. Like our delivery, packing coolers and all that, it's the exact same thing. Our cutting method, most of our harvest is almost exactly, it's a little more refined as we notice little things. But for example, what we used to do is we used to harvest around a 4x8 table, and 3 people would cut and pick hulls. We would all do that separately. Now we all work in an assembly line. One person cuts, a couple people pick hulls while one person packs. So the methods are similar, but the way we've structured them has changed. It's amazing how much, pat myself on the back, it's amazing how much I got right the first time, but I did as much research as I could, and I did a lot of thinking about it, how is this going to look? And I'm a big how person when I'm thinking about ideas, is how is this going to go? The growing methods, the stacking methods, the pressure has changed just a little bit, but it's just little details generally. But little details go a long way in these systems. But yeah, you'll see some of those changes because I'll talk about a few of them. So yeah, once again, the same methods can be scaled up to a certain point. So I went from here to here. My next step can't be to here. My next step actually has to be way up here. We're at almost at the top of this sort of mid-scale. And I think a lot of businesses go through this. You can be a small business or a sort of medium-sized business, but there's no sort of in between. There's this big jump to that next scale, which I have no interest in making, to be honest. If it's going to be that jump, I'll go work for another sprouting company and do stuff with them. Yeah, I don't want to run a big operation like that. It scares the shit out of me. So yeah, this is about as big as I want to get. So I was just asking questions stuff that, in terms of what we've covered so far, how it's changed people's perspective of what they're doing or what they want to do.
Michael is asking, at what point do you jump from developmental to actual sales?
That's a good question. So what you're trying to do is develop your knowledge of the product. So do you feel you can consistently grow a high quality product for your customers? Because when you're the only person providing your customers with this specific product, if you can't do that, it's going to be hard for them to get it elsewhere. I can't get you beets this week. your chef can get beets from somewhere else. But if they can't get these very specific microbes that only you grow, then that's going to be a problem. So you need to know when you're ready to scale up for that. And then, as I've alluded to, development and sales can happen at the same time when you're at a really small scale. But as you start getting bigger and bigger scale and you get on the radar, and there's a risk of somebody coming in and say, I'd like to see your facility, you want to be prepared for that. So it's a matter of how comfortable you feel with your ability to produce your product consistently. And in the development process, you're eating really well. That's for sure. So